What up, everybody? Episode 1 of Raising Kanan. Kanan and his friend D-Wiz killed a kid named Buck 20. They got the guns they used to kill Buck from D-Wiz's older brother, who recently just got out of prison and had gats stashed around the house. But because of that, Kanan had a target on his back. Rock had to give up all her corners to Unique to help get the target off his back. But Buck's people still wanted blood, and Unique let Rock know that the streets needed a body. After this, Rock and Lou were walking into Juliana's bodega to talk business. And as they were about to walk in, Famous and D-Wiz were walking out. It was at this point D-Wiz mentioned to Rock that his brother was out of prison, and he feels like his mother prefers it when he's in prison because at least that way she knows where he is. After this, Rock was talking to Kanan about him and his friends killing Buck 20, and she asked if they got the guns from D-Wiz's older brother. And she said that he's a wild boy, and she figured that he had guns stashed around the house. So because of this, Rock and Lou put down D-Wiz after Marvin's party and given D-Wiz the best night of his life to make it look like it was Buck 20's people who killed D-Wiz for revenge. And the rumor became that D-Wiz and Buck 20 were beefing over Davina, and that's why D-Wiz killed him. The thing is, killing D-Wiz began to eat at Lou, making him feel guilty by putting down a 16-year-old kid. Very similar to how killing Rolla began eating at Ghost in Power, and how Ghost relapsed and took a drink right after killing him. We don't know how much Lou used to drink before killing D-Wiz, or if he drank it all, but the night he killed D-Wiz, he was definitely having a drink at the bar before he did it. Later in the season, Lou's house got set on fire by Warrell and Unique's crew with Lou in it, and Marvin had to save his life. But Lou wasn't even supposed to be home while this was going on because Rock had paged Lou and had something for him to do, but Lou ignored the text and said he was taking the night off and poured himself a drink. In season 1, in the midst of all that going down, Lou also started working next to a record label owner who went by Crown Camacho. Crown was originally a customer of Lou's, but when Lou went to Crown's studio for the first time, it brought back old memories for Lou when his father E-Train, who was also a musician, used to bring him to the studio with him. Lou knew about all the equipment that he had in the studio, saying he kept up with things by reading magazines. Then one day at the studio, Lou overheard a conversation between Crown and his technician that Crown was behind on his bills and paying his employees. Because of that, Lou started paying for things out of his own pocket and eventually brought in his lawyer, Andre Barnes, with a debt-to-equity contract to become 50-50 owner of Bulletproof Records, and he forced Crown to sign it. Like it was said about Crown when he was first introduced, he wasn't about the street life, and he couldn't do nothing with a ball. But he had real talent in that music stuff. But talent only gets you so far. Meaning without the finances like Lou had at the time, he was only going to make it so far because the music industry is costly. And only those who are making real numbers are really getting paid like that. And even more back in those days before streaming started. That's why reportedly most of the successful hip-hop labels back in those days, and even somewhat to this day, were actually funded by drug money. But once Lou started working with Crown at Bulletproof Records, his priorities started to change, and Lou wasn't in the streets like that anymore, and he was no longer reliable for rock like he once was. Lou was won more and more out the game as time went on, but then he killed Crown Camacho, not knowing it was really Rock behind the scenes pulling the strings, because she had already worked something out with Crown that if he died, she would take over his half of the label. Lou didn't find that out for a minute though, and even helped Rock take Cartier Farid off the board after he agreed to give Cartier half of the label he didn't even have to give him. And Cartier even said before they killed him, "You two don't even trust each other." It was after this when Lou got the statement with all the money in the Bulletproof Records account, and when he went to the bank he found out that Rock had been playing him like a puppet on a string. Because of that, Lou went to confront Rock, but it only made matters worse because Rock was going through her own issues at the time, and she ended up snapping on Lou and telling him that she owns him. But the thing that really got to Lou was when she told him that killing Scrappy was a mistake. This led to Lou going full-blown alcoholic in Season 3, keeping in mind his girl Ziza was also killed at the end of Season 2, and even though it wasn't mentioned, it was something else Lou was dealing with. Not to mention the Bulletproof Records studio had been completely shot up by the Italians. But even through his drinking problems that he was going through in season 3, Lou was still able to meet a woman named Shirley and started working at her club and was supposed to be taking it over after Shirley retired. Lou even put a studio in the back of the club where he recorded Famous's new song that he wrote about the night he killed Freddie. But at the end of season 3, Lou's drinking problem got completely out of control and Rock and Marvin had to send him to rehab. While Lou was MIA and in rehab, Shirley had one of her friends come to the club to check out Famous's new song, and he was ready to sign Famous, but Famous first needed to get in contact with Lou. Before he could do this, he was arrested for killing Freddie after his mother found the murder weapon in his room and reported it to the cops. So the last we saw of Famous, he was asking for his lawyer after the cops tried to get him to snitch. And the last we saw of Lou, he was in rehab. Famous wasn't in the season 4 teaser, but it did show Lou standing next to Rock, and it did look like he was sober also. But I think Lou will make a fatal mistake in season 4, because there's going to be a new character introduced this season named B-Rilla. His character description says he's raw, volatile, and an incredibly talented young rapper serving a prison sentence for armed robbery, whose potential is seen by Lulu Thomas, who's interested in signing him. So the question is, how does Lou see the potential of somebody who's in prison? This is likely going to be through Famous, because Famous is likely already 18 and won't be sent to juvie, but he'll be sent to regular jail instead. And while in jail, he'll bump into his good friend D-Wiz's older brother, who I believe is B-Rilla. The nicknames are very similar and point in that direction, D-Wiz and B-Rilla. And we also know that D-Wiz's brother was constantly in and out of jail. So while locked up together, Famous and B-Rilla will link up and start rapping together. Then Famous will tell Lulu about B-Rilla. And we already know that Lou is going to try to sign B-Rilla to his label so he could potentially be working with the older brother of the kid he killed. Then when B-Rilla starts mentioning his little brother in his songs, that's going to bring back that guilt that Lou has already been dealing with. Either though Lou will likely get out of rehab and be clean for a minute, this could definitely be what gets him to start drinking again. And Lou gets completely belligerent and out of control sometimes when he drinks, like when he went to talk to Scrappy's mother, or when he confessed robbing the liquor store to the cops. Lou could possibly say something in front of B-Rilla that makes B-Rilla suspect that Lou was involved in his little brother's death. Then there's also the fact that Kanan knows that Lou killed D-Wiz. Kanan could feel a way about Lou working with B-Rilla after he killed his younger brother. Not to mention that Jukebox also saw D-Wiz getting into the car with Lou on the night he was killed. And Lou and Juke have already been going through their own issues. And also keep in mind that Kanan said Juke was always running her mouth after he killed her also. So I think Juke could possibly say something to B-Rilla about D-Wiz being with Lou on the night he was killed. But no matter what, if B-Rilla is D-Wiz's older brother and Lou decides to work with him, Lou is going to be playing with fire. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.